I have the privilege today of being joined by Anita Sheridan-Roddick, who's the National Sales Director at Baidam, a IT recruitment and cybersecurity company. Anita, great to see you. Thanks for making time to catch up with me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Des.
So for our audience who's joining in today, just give a little summary of kind of what we're going to cover. We're going to chat with Anita about her background, her role, joining Baidam. We're going to talk about Baidam, the company itself, and a particular angle around why they're so special and some of the amazing, unique features they have as an organization and how they came to be. We're also going to talk about their sponsorship of ExecOps, a gold sponsorship, I believe, of ExecOps in Melbourne and Sydney, which is on October the 22nd and the 28th. Respectively for Melbourne, Sydney, and as well sponsorship of BeerOps on the same dates. Anita, I wonder if you could maybe just kick us off first with a little bit of a get to know you, a little bit about your background and your sort of career path and how you came to this amazing role with Baidam and particularly National Sales Director.
Thanks, Des. And it is an amazing role. I'm pretty privileged to work here at Baidam. My background is ICT sales. In my early 20s, I fell into technology. I'm not going to lie, I was lured by the opportunity to make money in sales. And I started working with a small educational reseller as a business development manager. I actually loved it. I found a love for technology, a love for people. You know, what I do is people, what we do is people, both in sales and cybersecurity. So I moved to Sydney from Melbourne and opened the branch of that company here then. And then I just weaved a path through various technology roles and eventually into sales management and to the role I am here today with Baidam.
An amazing career path. It is one of those industries though, isn't it, where you can effectively reinvent yourself so many times. And even if you're in the same sort of role or career path, you can move from one organization to another, one industry to another. There is no such as being bored in IT, I find. I've reinvented myself so many times I had to rewrite my CV too many times over the last couple of decades, which probably ages me.
Dave,
But
that's
you know,
sorry, it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting actually, because I haven't had an interview in over 25 years.
Oh wow.
So my career path has been born out of a wonderful ecosystem that we have in technology and in
Yeah, yeah.
cybersecurity. And I actually had to put together a resume for Baidam. Baidam approached me and then asked me to put together a resume, and I didn't even know where to start.
Wow. Well, that speaks volumes about you as an individual that people have been able to refer you to exciting roles, but it also speaks highly of your ability to pull that together and actually, you pick up an amazing role like this. Now, I'd love to dive into, and congratulations on that, by the way. I'd love to dive into the company in more detail in a moment, but I love the story of Baidam itself, and I remember reading on the website there was something to the effect that it was conceived in the lobby of a Hilton, I think, in Brisbane back in 2018. And it was sort of the brainchild of the co-founders, both Jack and is it Philip or Pip? And the other thing I loved about was sort of the First Nations element of it, which I won't steal your thunder on, but I'd love, before we dive into the company itself and its capabilities around cybersecurity and IT recruitment and so forth and your partners, maybe just give us a little insight into kind of that First Nations element, because I think it's such an amazing, unique story.
It really is a unique story, and actually what drew me to Baidam. You're right. We did operate out of the lobby of the Hilton Hotel for some time there. And that was Pip and Jack. They had a dream, and, you know, they really have delivered on that dream and are continuing to do so. And the dream is our mission, which is to help close the gap by driving meaningful social and economic outcomes that empower future generations of First Nations people to thrive in STEM fields. What does that look like? Because it's a big statement, isn't it? In 7 years, we have funded 3 perpetual university scholarships, ANU, QUT, and Edith
Wow.
Cowan. Incredible. And so far, that's benefited 11 First Nations students. In addition to that, we provide industry certifications and work within our ecosystem to provide opportunity to raise funds. For example, just last month, we held our annual charity golf day, and we raised $117,000 in one day for Deadly Choices. You're
Wow.
an organisation, it's an incredible amount, right?
That is
Deadly
amazing.
Choices empower First Nations to take control of their health by providing preventative programs and education. So as you can see, it's an absolute pleasure to work with Baidam. We actually are really passionate about bridging that gap.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, congratulations on all of that. I did love the backstory as well. And again, I made notes on the website with regard to the name Baidam, and I believe it was a direct translation to the word shark, which on the website it sort of talks about being an extremely apt name for a cybersecurity company focused on hunting down bad people and cyber threats, which again, I think should be something that's on a t-shirt if it isn't already. I know you got some great Baidam themed t-shirts, but I would love a caricature of a shark chasing down bad guys with terminals. One of the things I'd love to do now, if that's okay, because thanks for the backstory on that, because I think that's something that's quite unique, not just in Baidam, but also in Australia's ecosystem of businesses. When we think about the company overall, how do you, if I was to put you in a room full of people, how do you in 30 seconds sort of speed dating wise sort of explain what Baidam does as an organization? And we can sort of dive into some of those services.
The elevator pitch, my friend.
Yes.
Okay. So what do we do? We deliver managed and professional cybersecurity services and product solutions. Obviously, the social purpose is at the core of our business model. To provide those social impacts, we provide these solutions largely to enterprise and government. We have a security operations centre. Mainly, I guess our services there are SOC as a service, SIEM, vulnerability management, EDR, professional and advisory services, and then, of course, products and licensing across our partnerships.
Right. And so it seems to me like there's this kind of like a win-win-win maneuver where you've got an amazing focus on Indigenous people and that community. You've got a really strong focus on the ICT sort of space for traditional managed IT and technology. And then you've got that ability to put the umbrella of safety over the top of it with regard to the cybersecurity component, whether it's managed cybersecurity or consulting and advisory. When you're, for the clients that you've currently got, and I know there's probably no such thing as a standard client, but what are some of the typical challenges that you're helping organizations with in that space, particularly now that, and we've been through sort of the, the last few years, if you think about, since Baidam came along as a company, and we've seen big data and cloud and analytics and data science and a whole range of new big trends. And now we've got AI sort of exploding and potentially a bubble. What are the types of challenges you're helping clients with now, and sort of, whether it's traditional cybersecurity or whether it's something that's slightly out the sort of in the, slightly more courageous proof of concept ideas?
It's a really good question, and it does largely depend on the customer. Certainly in that upper mid-market space, as I'd term it, would be our SOC as a service. Always resources are an issue, particularly in that segment of the market. So providing SOC services really does bridge that gap, I guess, to use our own language, between providing cybersecurity services and smaller organisations. We're having a lot of conversations at the moment around identity. Obviously, the traditional cyber perimeter has disappeared. You just can't put a firewall up anymore and hope. So a lot of conversations around identity, particularly in enterprise and government. And of course, AI, you and I were talking about that earlier, Des.
Yeah.
An interesting topic. I have a belief that we need to get the people right first, as you and I spoke about, and helping organisations set their AI policies, helping organisations start with smaller restrictions and then building out an entire AI strategy.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and it's a challenge for not only our customers, it's a challenge for our ecosystem and providers in the market. And not everyone's got it right, but most of our ecosystem have components of solutions around AI. I think our biggest opportunity at the moment is consulting and advising.
I like that. Well, there's that old adage that sort of, people, process, and technology, or some people say people, process, and systems. And as you said very clearly that, and rightly, the people elements probably the most important, particularly in cybersecurity, because they're the ones that potentially could fall prey to a phishing attack or some other issue, or maybe just behavioral or lack of awareness, that leaving a screen unlocked or something like that. I mean, there's some obvious ones that we should know, but quite often now I see there's like a lot of incidents where people are being scammed with fake voices, deep fake videos, a whole range of things, right? And significant amounts of money at that, not just individually, but large organizations, without going into detail. And the combination of your professional and consulting and advisory element at the very front around that people piece, all the way through to your, as you mentioned, you've got Australia's first Indigenous manned security operations center, which I believe went live around 2023. So it's been going for a little while now. Gives you that good balance of all of that. But that people focus is so important. And I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine that fits or dovetails rather quite nicely with the fact that when we think about AI as a new emerging technology, people also need training and awareness and skills to be able to adopt and leverage and use AI. And that seems to be a natural fit to then incorporate cybersecurity into that, because all of the data elements, the third-party tools and so forth come with that. Is that something you're probably seeing a lot with your clients as well? Now they're saying, look, hey, we need a lot of help on AI data protection, but also we need to talk to people. We need to train them, and we're training about AI. We need to teach them about cybersecurity skills as well.
You make some really salient points there. I actually find the evolution of AI incredibly exciting. You know, I look at my team, I look at my children at home and the way they're using AI at both school and university, you know, taking out a lot of time-consuming, you know, chores, I guess, for want of a better description, when it comes to what they're studying and what my team are working on. It really does enable us to do, you know, what we can do better and faster. So I'm actually excited about AI, with caution, of course. But, you know, I think to your point, it's that people first. How do we enable people and educate people? And that's why, as I said earlier, coming back to the conversation around AI policies, AI training, and enabling organisations to confidently have those conversations with their staff and their own customers as well.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of organisations will lose business if they don't have an AI strategy. Their consumers and their corporate customers are demanding that as well.
Yeah, well, for our audience who's tuned in, we were talking off record just before we hit record, and I mentioned that we'd surveyed recently over the last 2 months about 8,800 senior executives up to board level and CEO just in Australia, and none of them were willing to say that they actually had an AI strategy in place. They were working on things, they had proof of concepts, trials, demos, a whole range of things from third parties where they're being implemented for them, but not one was willing to say that they had an AI strategy in place, and they definitely didn't have an AI roadmap. And what was frightening, as we spoke about off air, just for our audience, was that most of them admitted that AI was happening to them. They were not driving the adoption of AI. And that scared the pants off me, because we saw that in big data. We saw it with cloud. You know, cloud just happened to people. You can't now install your own mail server. You have to have Office 365 if you're a Windows house or whatever the case may be. And that took a lot of control away from companies. And I think that's happening really quickly. And like you, I'm excited about it. And I'm old enough to have been in sort of machine learning and machine intelligence for decades. But when 2023, OpenAI's ChatGPT came along, with the generative preform transformers that people chat to and talk to, I thought, oh, this is going to change the game, because this is going to move. Particularly when if you remember, they were the first company to claim to be like to 100 million subscribers in like 7 days or something. And I thought that's moving so quickly. I think cybersecurity and data protection and all that stuff is going to get left behind. People are going to be so excited to play with it. And you have some amazing partners. I remember looking under your partner page on your website before we get into the sponsorships for ExecOps and BeerOps. You have a really, really diverse and broad and deep range of partners. And they're all the big names in sort of hyperscalers, all the big names in content delivery networks and cybersecurity, and certainly some of the infrastructure. That must be quite a unique position to be in as well, to have, you know, I remember it was like pages and pages of pretty much who's who in the security zoo and infrastructure zoo are partners of yours already, that you, when you walk in the door, without naming some of the bigger ones, you walk in not just Baidam with a range of capability, but you also bring in essentially what I think is one of the biggest global networks of partners that could be asked for, that walk in the door with you.
Absolutely. And the reason for that, because we have what most people say is a long vendor tail.
Right.
The reason for that is to ensure that we can provide our customers with best of breed solutions that fit in with their own ecosystem. It's a privilege to be in a position to work with our customers to provide outcomes and solutions. If we just go in and try and sell a product, we're never going to win, and nor is our customer. So
Right.
that's the reason for our vendor solution stack. if you have a look at our stack too, and we won't go into detail, but the idea is to create an ecosystem where each player works together. So a lot of our vendor partners consider themselves ecosystems in their own right and work
Yes.
together and together and R&D together. So that's very exciting.
It is amazing. So, congratulations on the sponsorships you've taken out, and the support of these community events is so critical to just keep people getting together. But I believe you've taken out a gold sponsorship of the ExecOps events in both Melbourne and Sydney, and you're sponsors of BeerOps as well in both events. Huge congratulations on taking both those out and supporting those events. I'm really keen to get your thoughts on kind of, for events like this. I mean, the ExecOps and BeerOps are described as Australia's largest tech networking conference. So that in itself is a great thing. But for an organization like Baidam, there must be a number of key things that these events bring to you. I know for myself, it's great to sort of see people in 3D rather than on 2D screens anymore. What are some of the things that attract Baidam to these sorts of events, and what do you get out of them?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and we're really excited and proud to be sponsoring ExecOps and BeerOps. I think for me, getting involved makes sense because it brings together, I guess, that ecosystem of senior tech and operational leaders. We're solving complex challenges every day, but we're humans, and humans work together, and we're best when we are in person and together, as you said. But what I do particularly like about BeerOps and ExecOps is that it's a really diverse, secure, and inclusive environment.
Right.
And research tells us time and time again that bringing together people from diverse backgrounds drives innovation and better decision making. So ExecOps and BeerOps gives us, I guess, the opportunity to have quality conversations. We can talk strategy and leadership in a space that's collaborative and forward-thinking.
Yeah, I love that, and I think for me as well, I'm a big fan of that. I mean, obviously, it has the full DEI inclusivity there. That's a given. It's an amazing community of human beings of all walks of life and types. But I really love that age element, where all ages, whether young and old. I love the range of age groups. I love the whether it's graduates or interns, whether it's CEOs. I love the variation and inclusivity of roles, responsibilities, industries. It seems to me that's a really natural fit for an organization like Baidam, given the amazing story you have and what you do as an organization that underpins the foundation, the brand, and the company. On the other side of things, I'd love to get your thoughts around, when I look at attendees, often if you're a young person coming to these events, you may not have done an event of this scale, and it's quite a big undertaking. It might be hard to meet people. And I want to note that even though BeerOps and ExecOps, BeerOps is sort of mentioning the alcoholic name, there's plenty of non-alcoholics. If you're like me, I don't drink alcohol, and there's plenty of non-alcoholic options. But when you go to these big tech networking events, what are your thoughts around the best way for attendees that have registered and are coming to meet you and your team at Baidam, of how to prepare for this and get the most out of the events? Because there's a lot happening under one roof. There's a lot of amazing people, a lot of sponsors. Given that you've done a lot of these in your career and you've had a lot of experience in events, how should people approach an event like this and get the most out of the event itself, and then particularly the most out of the opportunity to talk to yourself and your team at Baidam?
Great question, and can be daunting, can be really daunting. A lot of people, you don't know a lot of people, and there you are in a corner. I think my advice to people coming to events like this who may not have done them before is do a bit of research. Have a look at the sponsorships and the people that are going to be there, and find out whether they are of interest to you. And if they are, reach out via LinkedIn, reach out via websites. You can get in touch with people. You can book a meeting at that event, give them your phone number, say, hey, there's a lot of people here, how can I talk to you? So reach out, do your research, number one. Number two, I think, is be open-minded. Come along, don't be afraid to ask all the questions. I think Baidam have a booth there. At BeerOps, my very approachable, down-to-earth team will be there. They'll be wearing what we call the Baidam Blues. So if you have a look at our website, they will be in the shirts that match our logos. So we'll be really easy to find. Unfortunately, I won't have the shark shirt ready in time, Des, but I'm taking that on note for marketing. And with myself, I'm really happy to have all the conversations. So again, please reach out to me directly via LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, actually, I wonder if you could wrap us up with that very follow-on thought then, and that is that when, and great advice on how to prepare for these events. I mean, you're absolutely right. I love your what I might call a cybersecurity hacker ethic approach, which is do some homework on someone and reach out early and actually book time with them rather than just lining up with everyone else. That's a great hack, really good tip. And everyone that's tuning in, do exactly that. Reach out and say, hey, I'm coming. I'd like to book a time with you, because that way someone will be at their booth, ready to meet you, probably have done a bit of homework and plan for your questions, etc. That's a great hack. I love that. Classic cybersecurity approach. Beat the game. I wonder if you could wrap us up with some details on how people can keep up to date with Baidam, the company, how they can stay attuned with what you're doing professionally, what the team are doing, where they can sort of follow you and keep abreast of all your latest announcements and news, and learn more about the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Des. Our website, baidam.com.au, is always a great place to start. You can sign up to newsletters and marketing there. LinkedIn, our marketing team is pretty incredible. It's a pretty active page. So there's always news, events, information, thought leadership pieces there. Also, a lot of content around First Nations and how you can help support First Nations in STEM. So I encourage everyone to go to LinkedIn and have a look. For myself personally, you can find me via the Baidam webpage as well, or via LinkedIn. As I said before, please reach out. I answer everyone's queries.
I love that. And folks that have tuned in, we will, wherever you see this, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on the various digital social channels, we will have links to all of those, to the baidam.com.au website, to their company LinkedIn page and Twitter, to each of the relevant people such as yourself, Anita, their LinkedIn pages. I recommend people follow first, so don't just jump in and saying, hey, Anita, can I have a connect request, because you may not have met. Follow, join the conversation online, see what's being posted, comment on those, give them the occasional like, maybe even share stuff yourself to your own audience. Definitely visit the website. One other thing I'd like the audience to do as well is, when you go visiting the website, click on Bridging the Gap. There's an amazing section down the bottom where it talks about the last couple of years of what the company's been doing with regard to their graduate program and their scholarships. It's an amazing story. And there's some just amazing individuals across what you've been doing, from like University of Queensland, ACT, Queensland State Government, Edith Cowan University, just really great stories there. So well and truly learn about the company, have a look at what they're doing, and then click on Bridging the Gap, top right corner. You'll be really inspired with that. And great advice from Anita with regard to doing your homework soon. Be a little cybersecurity sleuth, do the homework on the people, learn about the company, and book some time. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Anita. I really look forward to seeing you at the events. And again, it'll be so nice to see people in 3D rather than 2D flat screens again after all the lockdowns. But in the meantime, safe travels. And again, congratulations on your sponsorship of both the ExecOps and BeerOps events at both Melbourne and Sydney, which are on October the 22nd and October 28th, respectively, for Melbourne and Sydney. And we will look forward to having you back again on the show. But in the meantime, stay safe and really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Des, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolute pleasure. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.